Hi, my name is Alexa. I'm a 25-year-old living in Kansas City, and I hope that in sharing my journey with money, someone's inspired to start theirs. Today, I'm actually redoing my debt story because I didn't really do it justice the first time. Growing up, I was in a single-parent household. This basically means that there just wasn't a lot of extra money lying around, but I was privileged in some senses because I didn't ever have to buy my own car. I didn't have to have a job to help my mom pay the bills, nothing like that. I was able to go to school and focus on school, and my mom always pushed me to be someone that went to college. It just really wasn't an option to not go to college. And so I did grow up with that kind of mindset and that privilege and expectation, but I wasn't showered in things that I didn't need. After my freshman year of high school, we moved from a lower income part of the city to a suburb of Houston. The mindset from the counselors at the first school was kind of like, if you ask about college, we'll tell you what we know. But at the second school, it was, you're expected to go to college. That is just what everyone did. And so the vibe was just really different, and the way that they taught classes was different. The way that they treated students was very different. And so I do think there was value in my mom moving my sister and I out of the city and into the suburbs. Since I was at a school where everyone was expected to go to college, I was also surrounded by a lot of people who did have an abundance of money, and their family had a lot of money saved up, if not an excessive amount of money saved up for not one, but multiple kids to go to college. And I knew I didn't have a lot of money growing up, and so I was wondering how much we actually had for me. And so I asked my mom, hey, how much money do we actually have saved up? And she said, none. I didn't know that that was something I needed to do. And so my 17-year-old little heart was broken, and I was very overwhelmed with the fact that I needed to now be held accountable for something that everyone around me seemed to not have to be responsible for. So that was a little bit hard for me to understand, but I was also witnessing my mom struggling, so it was kind of hard for me to be a brat about it. I was still a little bit upset, and I would say kind of a brat, because I almost resented her for not knowing that. But none of her friends save money for their kids either. So in her community, it was normal for your kid to pave their own path. And while my mom instilled mindset into me, she didn't grow up in the US, and so it was harder for her to have the same cultural beliefs. And I understand that. I was born in the US, and so it was easy for me to come up with this mindset that was similar to the people around me, which is where your parents save up money for you to go to college. Then it turned from my decision about going to college based on where would be cool to attend and what would be the best for the degree that I wanted, and it turned more into where is going to get me the education that is good enough and taking the least amount of loans out as possible. I only applied to public universities. I did apply to a few private ones just because a college coach had told me that I might have a good chance of getting a full ride if I had good scores based on how bad my family's finances were. Basically, you're so underprivileged in the eyes of the people that normally attend these schools that you'll probably be somebody they would give more money to so that you can attend if your scores are high. And they weren't, so I ended up going to a public university. Honestly, if I were to go back in time, if present me could talk to younger me, I don't really regret how my life has gone and where I am now, but I probably wouldn't have told a 17-year-old to do what I did, which is go out of state and acquire $30,000 of debt when you could have done 2 years at a community college and then transferred to the public local university in Houston, which is the University of Houston. It's a good school. There was nothing bad about that school. And then commute from home. So I really wouldn't have probably had any debt if I had done that. But instead I had 30,000. So that was a tough pill to swallow. I do love the friends that I made in college, and I feel like they are going to be my forever friends. I really enjoy living in Missouri now, and I never would have if I hadn't moved out of Houston in the first place. And so it's a little bit hard to regret what happened. And I also have paid off $24,000 of my debt. So it's kind of like, I don't actually really regret doing any of it. Maybe my life would have been a little bit easier for 2 years, but I think the character development that I've had is something I can't regret. I wouldn't give a 17-year-old advice to do what I did at 17 years old. But what did I know? I made my choices and I have dealt with them. And I did sacrifice a little partying and going out here and there. Honestly, all I really did was study and work. So I didn't really have this crazy college experience that other people have, but I also was starting off in a different place, and I don't regret not partying so that I could study and save money. I don't regret that at all. Improving my grades really helped me get scholarships, and my junior and senior year, I actually didn't take that much out in loan. I guess the first year I didn't have any degree specific classes, and so the general university classes are cheaper than your degree specific classes. My freshman year I took out $5,500 in loans. Sophomore year I took out $8,500, and then junior and senior year I took out $7,500 because I had scholarships. And actually I was taking more degree specific classes as those grades went on, and so I really saved more money than this. It made it seem like I only got $1,000 in scholarships, but I got anywhere from $1,000 to $4,000 a year in scholarships, and I did get a $5,000 Pell Grant every single year. So I did save a significant amount of money through scholarships and Pell Grants, which you don't have to pay back to the government. And if I hadn't received those Pell Grants, I would have had $20,000 more than what I actually graduated with. So instead of $30,000, I would have had $50,000 to pay back, which that would have been a tough pill to swallow. Freshman year I did live in a dorm. My loans did go towards that, but I was really overwhelmed at the idea of paying for my own rent, and I thought, how am I going to afford this? Like, this is really crazy. And I remember complaining to my college boyfriend and essentially having a breakdown in his dorm room about the fact that I had to become an RA if I was to survive the financial repercussions of my entire life that I didn't even choose. So I was like, if I'm not an RA, which is a resident assistant, then I'll have to figure out how to pay for housing. My mom can't afford that. I'm gonna have to figure out how to pay for my food. My mom can't afford that either. I feel like working a job and trying to pass all my complicated classes would just be a mess. And I guess being an RA, you're still working. So, I mean, I made it work, but it was less demanding than working like a part-time server job at night or something. It was honestly the move, but I remember feeling so chained based on the fact that I had to be an RA. Not that I got to be an RA. I mean, it was still like you had to apply, and it was this thing that you had to earn and be good at and have skills for. But at the time it felt like, even though I got it and it was an accomplishment, it felt like something I was forced into instead of something that I could celebrate and be happy about. I mean, again, it was just like the whole, now, like in high school, I couldn't pick where I wanted to go based on where my friends were going, and I couldn't pick my university based on how cool it was or whatever. I needed to pick it based on finances, and then I was doing this job because of finances. But that's just how life goes. And I met one of my best friends my freshman year, and I really wanted to live with her, but I really couldn't afford to move out of the universities, so I became an RA. It was a competitive process, but honestly, I was a good RA. Like, I really cared about my residents, and I really put a lot of effort into the floor programs that we did, and I was really involved, and I had a lot of knowledge on the university resources, and I love to talk to people, clearly. And so I think I fit the profile of an RA pretty well, so I don't really regret that. I have a lot of confidence in myself to succeed, honestly, and like moving to a new city, I wasn't concerned about making friends. I wasn't concerned about making my finances work. I was just like, I'm gonna do it. Like, I trust myself that I'm going to be able to do these things. I was like, okay, I'm applying to be an RA, that's my plan, and it worked out. Until I quit. Being an RA for 2 years, I didn't have to pay for housing, I didn't have to pay for any coffees on campus, and I didn't have to pay for any of my food for 2 whole years. So I regret nothing. Regret nothing. I was going to be an RA my senior year, but I was honestly going through a lot of personal stuff with my college boyfriend. We ended up breaking up, and I'm really glad that I wasn't an RA, because I think I would have been distracted to the point where I wouldn't have felt as clear that I needed to leave the relationship. I think I was just overwhelmed by my entire life, and I knew that before even going into the summer before senior year. I just knew my life was crazy, and a lot of it had to do with the relationship that I was in. It was just causing me so much stress and anxiety. And I remember telling my boss, like, I can't do this. Like, I have to quit for senior year. Like, somebody else that really wants it should get it. I would rather work 3 jobs. And that's what I did. I got 3 on-campus jobs senior year so that I could afford my almost $800 rent every month. That's what I did. Out of the 14 hours that I worked every week, I got to do homework for like 6 of those, which is pretty good. So I was essentially getting paid to do homework for 6 hours, and then I was actually working the other few hours. I didn't really have a lot of time to like relax or party, but again, I don't regret that, and I don't regret not taking out money for rent and groceries. I am really happy with the choices that I made at the time. And then leading up to graduation, I took a lot of my internship money, and also I worked 2 summers around college, and so I saved a lot of money from that, and I made sure that I had at least a 1-month emergency fund because I knew that I was about to start paying student loans. It takes a little bit for your first paycheck to kick in. Like, you don't get your first paycheck the first day you start working, so there are a few weeks where you have no money coming in. And if you're like me, you were completely broke at that point, and I didn't have any credit cards at this point, so I didn't put anything on credit. I made sure that I had a month of expenses for myself and for my dog. Sweet little Peanut. He was the family dog, and I stole him because I convinced my family that I needed a dog because I needed a friend since I was moving to Missouri and we were all from Texas and there was nobody that we knew in Missouri. I don't regret it. Everyone's happier. Maybe not my family, but like me and Peanut are happier that we're together. I was always his favorite. Ask him, not me. My mom threw a graduation party for me before I officially moved up to Missouri. I got around $1,500 in cash from that party, and I used all of that money to buy things for my apartment that I needed. My mom's gift to me was buying my couch, my bed frame, my bedroom mattress, my bedside table, my dresser, and my coffee table, which is actually a lot. So she helped furnish a lot of my apartment. She also allowed me to take my childhood bedroom furniture. I used the dresser and bedside table as a side table and entertainment stand in my living room. And I'll put a picture here, but my sister and I actually sanded down this dresser and the side table and then painted it white to black because my coffee table had black legs, so I wanted it to match. And I don't have that entertainment stand and side table anymore. I sold it on Facebook Marketplace. I moved in with a roommate, and she actually had this entertainment stand and she didn't want to take it with her whenever she moved to Austin, and so I bought it from her. I liked it a little bit more. I had bought a desk that is the same color as this entertainment stand, so I wanted to tie the woods together. I got rid of my childhood furniture, but that saved me a little bit of money as well. It doesn't take much to sand down some furniture and repaint it. The paint was not expensive. My company paid for my relocation, so I didn't have to pay for movers from Texas to Missouri. My company paid for all of that. I did have to wait 3 months because they were behind on delivering furniture, so I actually slept on an air mattress for 3 months, which was hard on my back, but it made me really appreciate the things that I do have now. I got a $2,000 sign-on bonus from my company. I used all of that money after tax to pay some towards my loans. I also made sure that the apartment that I chose was cheap enough to where I could make $1,000 payments every single month because I wanted to pay my debt down as soon as possible. I remember at the time, like, I would only get one thing that I didn't need every month. So like if I wanted a new laundry basket because the old one was really destroyed, okay, this is my one item this month. So I still ended up buying things that I kind of needed, but you could do without. Like, you don't need a laundry basket. You can pile up all your dirty clothes on the floor, or you can just put it in the washer and leave it there all week until you're ready to hit start. Like, you don't need a laundry basket, but they were still practical items, and I really wouldn't buy like new clothes or anything like that. And I would only buy a new clothing item if the old one was torn up. Like leggings that get holes in them, you can't really fix those. So those are the kinds of items that I was purchasing. I felt like my money was so tight my first year, because it honestly was. And so I ended up getting a roommate the second year that I lived in Missouri. It did free up a lot of money. I felt like I had a lot more money, and then I also got a raise at work. So I was able to put more money towards my loans. I cut my housing expenses by $400 a month whenever I got a roommate. I paid $4,000 more than I did the first year towards my loans because I had all this extra money. By the end of 24 months, I had $24,000 paid off in debt. I currently have $4,600 left in my student loans, but it's at a 2.5% interest rate. I'm not paying it off quickly anymore, so my minimum payment is actually $53.32, and I have it set to auto pay at $54 a month because the interest that I accumulate is a lot less than the interest I earn whenever I choose to invest more money and save more money. I can go way more in debt on a video that talks about why I'm not paying off my debt quickly if that's something that you guys are interested in. I also took 2 summer classes at a local community college because it was a lot cheaper to do that and transfer the credits than to take them at the university. I paid for those classes out of pocket at the community college, and I wanted to free up space in my schedule during college because I just wanted to focus on my degree specific classes. And so I didn't want to take any of those at a community college, but the things like English 1 and English 2, I didn't need to take that at the university. So I took that at the local community college. It was a lot easier. So I was working 50 hours a week at a restaurant and then taking the summer class at night. And I also took 9 AP classes in high school, and I got credit for 8 of them, which actually did help a lot. So I probably would have taken more out in loans if I hadn't done the AP classes. There are programs that help families out who don't make a lot of money to pay for the AP exams. And I really confided a lot in my teachers, and so they knew about my situation at home. They were able to speak to the counselors so that I could be included in the program that got the AP exams paid for. So I think about half of them we paid out of pocket because we didn't know about the program, and then the other half we did not pay for since we were eligible for the program. I got 4s and 5s, which is what you need to get credit usually at the universities. I saved a lot of money that way as well. I could have done dual credit classes and it would have been a little bit cheaper, but I didn't know where I wanted to go to college, so AP is a little bit safer because that's usually that is taken everywhere, and dual credit is not always transferable. And so I personally took the AP classes because I wanted the flexibility. I do recommend that if you have an aptitude for studying and education and you like to learn, it is worth it to sacrifice a little bit of your time having fun, I guess. Like I also was studying a lot in high school. Oh, and I was also in band, and I got a band scholarship, but that really, I think I only profited really $100 because the scholarship they gave you just paid for the band class that you were forced to enroll in. But regardless, I was able to take my skills from that and become an RA and tell stories from that, and like my leadership opportunities. I got more scholarships because I talked about band related things in essays. It really kept me really structured because when you play an instrument, you have to practice in order to be good, and I knew to get better grades, you needed to study more. I made a lot of decisions that got me to a point where I'm feeling good today, but that was all just me not knowing anything. So I hope that by sharing this gives some people some ideas. I don't know if anyone young is watching this, but if you're in high school, hopefully this gives you some hope. If you've just found out that your parents have not saved any money for you the way that I found that out junior year. And if you are an adult and you are past the point of preventing yourself from taking out more loans, there is hope for you. I think you just have to lock in and move your finances around, and you really need to increase your income. Like it's going to feel tight until you make more money or you lower your expenses, and at some point you can't lower your expenses anymore. And I do think you are able to increase your income a lot easier than it is for you to decrease your expenses. Let me know if there are any other topics that you guys want me to cover, and I would be happy to talk about them. But thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a like if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to see me again or hear more from me. And I hope you have the best day. Bye.